Hello YouTube, this is Hunter Surge of the Brawler Cafe, bringing you round 2 of the first Canada Bakugan tournament at the upper hand. So here on the right, we have a Haos Nillious deck using the pretty standard Brawlers lineup of Haos Nillious, Aurelus Halcor, and Ventustrox. The Ventus slot is up for contention, but you know, on the left, we have a Pyrus Darkus Aurelus deck, carrying Pyrus Dragonoid Ultra, Darkus Nillious core, and Aurelus Fangzor core. Looks to be more of a Goodstuff build, with not a whole lot of shared core types, but all of them have high B power, with Nillious rocking 500B, Drago rocking 500B as well, and Aurelus Fangzor having 700B. So very, very high values. He's set up a magic shield on the right side's field, so that is likely to be a trap core. The trap magic shields can get pretty high up there, up to minus 500B, which on the base forms would completely nullify the B power of any of the Haos Nillious builds Bakugan. They have drawn their first hand, and we are going into the first turn with the players thinking on what they want to energize on this first round. Left side player has energized, and right side is having a difficult time making his choice. The left side has chosen Aurelus Fangzor as his first Bakugan, with that strong 700B, which will make it pretty easy to win this first round if he should open. And right side has chosen Ventustrox, 500B itself, and if he is able to land on one of those magic shields, it will be a huge 1150B that is going to be very difficult for a Pyrus Darkus Aurelus deck to overcome on this first round. And Ventustrox opens all on its lonesome. It's only 1 damage, so this isn't going to be that big of a deal. But the first damage has been dealt by Ventustrox, and that will start easing Haos Nillious towards its first team attack. And with that, he is also going to be in domination most likely on this next turn, which will give him access to full access to the most powerful 2 cost in the game, Light's Courage, for a devastating plus 800B, which will make it very difficult for him to lose this next turn. He has opened, both players have opened. Aurelus Halcor did not get the magic shield wanted for the pumped up damage, but is still in the lead right now at 800B. Now, one of the best tools that the Pyrus Darkus Aurelus deck has access to is Might of Sindius and Mac, and he has access to Might of Sindius at this point because it is turn 2, and he is going to play it. Without that magic shield, Aurelus Halcor is not going to be able to deal with that. Normally in this sort of situation, if he had landed on that magic shield, this Might of Sindius would not be very effective because Aurelus Halcor goes all the way up to 9 damage, which is a number that is very difficult for most decks to match this early in the game, especially if you were to evolve, but did not land on that, so forced to take the 8 damage from the Pyrus Dragonoid Ultra. So now players are tied on wins, but the win from our left side player has dealt a lot more damage than the first win from Haos Nillious. Moving into turn number 3. Now, in some ways, this is good for the Haos Nillious player because Haos Nillious himself is quite weak in his base form and is not able to evolve until turn 4. But since the Haos Nillious player has lost one of his early rounds, by time he is forced to roll Haos Nillious, he will have full access to that evolution. And Aurelus Halcor opens on its own. It grabs a trap core, but at the perfect timing, on a round where it doesn't have an opponent to contend with, so its B power does not matter, and it will get the magic shield bonus to go up to 9 damage. And this will also mean that that magic shield is off the board, and the right side player will be able to place it back on the field wherever he so pleases, when he has pulled off a team attack in the coming turns. Left side player hits Pact of Darkness, but chooses to take the remaining damage, opts out of using it, preferring to take the 4 or 5 more damage rather than losing card in hand. And with that, our right side player has hit that 4 energy threshold that he needs to be able to evolve into Haos Nillious. Haos Titan Nillious. And Haos Nillious stands on his own, so he is going to go uncontested. And this team attack is going to be massive if he evolves into... Yeah, he evolves into Haos Titan Nillious, so he's going to be able to grab a Flaming Fist off the board. If it is a +3 damage one, that's going to pump him up to 15 damage total on his own. Add on to that the 9 damage from the Howlcore and the 1 damage from the Trops. This is going to be a 25 damage team attack. Having already eaten the hit from the Howlcore, that is going to be enough to kill the left side player if he does not hit a flip. But he has that 4 energy, so he is fully able to play any flips, and there he is, packed on the 3rd damage. So he's able to just play that raw, and stop the remaining of that massive 25 damage team attack. Now, right side player is going to place back the Trap Magic Shield in front of his opponent's line of cores. Now, the left side player has put himself in a bit of an unfortunate position, where he has a very thin horizontal line of cores, and getting to the other side of the cores has been difficult because of blocks from the Haos Titan Nillious player's Bakugan. Now, what you sometimes would do with trap cores that reduce damage is you would put off to the side to basically remove it from the play, because it's very difficult to it's very risky and very difficult to aim specifically for cores that are off to the side of the battlefield. So it's unlikely that your opponent is going to grab it and then place it back on your side of the field. But in this situation, with that horizontal line, that magic shield trap is going to allow him to press his already high advantage. Howlcore is going to grab the shield instead of the magic shield again, but since he is the only Bakugan that stood, he's going to go uncontested, evolving to deal an additional damage, so 6 damage total. But he's going to hit the block outsiders on the 3rd damage, stopping the rest of that 2nd damage. Sorry, on that 2nd damage, stopping the rest of this hit from going through. Now our right side player is going to pick Haos Titan Nillious first. What this is going to allow him to do is have Haos Titan Nillious coming in for high damage that his opponent is likely at the point where it can kill. And then when he rolls his last Bakugan Ventus Trox, that's not going to be dealing just a measly 1 damage. That's going to be bringing in the team attack that's going to bring back in Howlcore and Haos Titan Nillious' damage. Nillious is the only one that stands after a number of attempted rolls, but he does not get a magic shield, but he does get a flaming fist, and this is honestly kind of for the better, because now the left side player mistakenly believes he can evolve a Dragonoid Ultra into Titan Dragonoid. Seems he was not informed up to date on the rules between Core and Ultra evolutions, but leaving those magic shields as they are, and only grabbing a Flaming Fist instead is kind of for the better, since he's the only Bakugan that stood, because he doesn't need that B power, and he can save those magic shields for his Trox, making it much more likely for it to hit that 1150. Because it doesn't need increased B power, because it's going to be bringing in the damage ratings of Titan Nillious and Howlcore, which will pump it up to a lethal attack. Definitely a lethal attack. Trox is going to land on the Flaming Fist. Nillious is going to stand on the Helix right next to it, pumping up to 1000 B right away, but his damage is dropped down to 1. So even if he wins this round, he's not going to be able to do much. On the other hand, our Haos Nillious player is raring to go with a team attack that's going to have massive lethal damage if it goes through. Since he is in domination, he's going to use Light's Courage to pump himself up quite a bit over his opponent. But the opponent has access to a lot of energy right now. So he's going to use Magma Boost, which will put him over. Haos Titan Nillious still has 2 energy remaining though. It's going to be difficult to overcome for the left side player if he drops another Light's Courage. But considering the time he's taking, it seems unlikely. Yeah, he drops a Super Shot for plus 300 B, just barely putting him over. And with 3 energy remaining for the Pyrus Darkus player, it's likely he will be able to overcome that in some fashion. And he uses his remaining 3 energy to drop Inferno Wings, which will completely remove all of the cores from the Haos Nillious player's board, which will also end up reducing the team attack damage when that comes by 7, because Nillious no longer has that Flaming Fist. Not that that matters that much in the large scheme of things, because that damage, at this point in the game, that damage is probably going to be lethal nonetheless. So we'll need to hit a flip regardless. But Haos Nillious only takes 1 damage from that, so not a huge loss, except in the cards from hand that he used to try and win that battle. 2 cards sort of wasted, but drew 2 cards out of the opponent. Trox stands once again on the Flaming Fist, so this will be a team attack of 18 damage total. So this is going to be very difficult for, because he needs to hit a flip really badly on this hit, or he's going to just lose here. And he hits another Block Outsiders. Is that the 3rd one? I think that's the 3rd Block Outsiders. So Haos Nillious will be closing up all of his block on, but now he'll be back to rolling his Howl Core and his Nillious, which are both evolved at this point, making them big powerhouses that are going to be difficult. And the Haos has been such a way that that gives the Haos Edge Nillious player quite an advantage, because we have 6 cores over on his side of the field with only 4 cores on the left side player's field, and one of those is a trap magic shield, which if he lands on will likely be the end, because his deck is really low now. Trox is the only one that stands, once again grabbing that Flaming Fist up to 4 damage, and that is going to be game as the last cards tick down. So moving into game 2, from the left side, we might attempt to avoid letting a Hide Matrix setup like that happen again. And yeah. This is the part in the commentary where I'd really love to have a partner. I probably should cut out this metal part. So, placing down cores once again, the left side player has placed down the trap core first once again. A bit of an odd placement, a bit of an interesting placement. Often with trap cores, you will place it as late in the core placement as possible to put as close to your opponent as possible to really screw up their early game rolls, basically giving you a free early game win. They move the core Hide Matrix closer to the middle, and the left side player this time has set up his cores in more of a central positioning, basically in 2 columns with 1 Flaming Fist off to the side, which will make it harder for that horizontal line problem that screwed him up last game to become an issue. Our left side player has picked Pyrus Dragonlord Ultra for his first roll, and he opens, keeping his core too. Pyrus Dragonlord Ultra is quite infamous for its yeeting of the cores, but it grabs that Flaming Fist, no problem. But it is still 400B behind the Ventus Trox with its Magic Shield, so he's going to take that 1 damage, which again is going to put our right side player, our Haos Nillious player, into domination, turning on stuff like Stand Together and Light's Courage, as well as easing him in towards that team attack. Now, moving into turn 2, Aurelus Halcor is, as always, going to be the perfect Bakugan for this turn 2 play. It's a perfect on-curve play, as it gets that high damage before the 3-cost stop. The 3-cost Outsider stops are online, as well as having a 2-cost evolution to up that damage even more. So it will likely be dealing 9 to 12 damage. Since he grabs that magic shield, Drago is once again 400B behind. He passes, and our right side player evolves into Hyper Halcor Ultra, so threatening 12 total damage, which nothing short of a pact is going to be able to stop. He hits the pact, but opts not to use the discard effect again, instead taking the remaining 4 damage. And Dragonoid will lose once again and have to close back up. Now, while this has put the Haos Nillious player on a bit of a roll, on a bit of a destructive path, he is now in this unfortunate position where he has to roll Haos Nillious now, and he's only going to have 3 energy because he was unable to draw into that turn to energy to be able to get Haos Nillious out on turn 3, which is something that Ventus provides quite nicely to the Haos Nillious build. But yeah, he's going to open, and Drago is going to be there at a massive 1100B to Nillious only at 450B, having picked up a green fist. Our right side player is probably recognizing that he's lost this round, uses Stoic Shot to take advantage of his domination to draw 2. Now, it's a bit of an interesting choice to do this at this point. Often you would do this after you take damage, so that yeah, and left side player drops Furious Blast. Okay, finishing that thought, Stoic Shot is something you'd often drop on the after damage, just to not give things away. But it turns out to his advantage, because on the 5th damage he hits Stand Together, and if he had not played that Stoic Shot, he would have hit that on the 7 damage. So he stops 2 more damage because of that Stoic Shot. Getting quite lucky there with the placement of those flips. And now he is on turn 4, which means Haos Nillious is going to be able to evolve. Now, there is only 1 good Magic Shield on the field, so it might be quite difficult for him to hit that Magic Shield that he wants. And no, he misses the Magic Shields, hits the fist, but his opponent completely misses. So he's going to be able to get that free team attack and a free evolution. And again, a team attack of 10, 22, 23 damage. Almost as big as the team attack he got last game with the Flaming Fist attached. Now all of the flips are live, so he's going to hit that pact on the 4th damage, I believe that was, and just pay raw for 4. But once again, this puts, after taking such a barrage of attacks, this puts him pretty low on deck, and all of Haos Titan Nillious' power players are back on the board. Both the evolved Aurelus Hyper Halcor and the evolved Haos Titan Nillious, which will hit 1550B and 2300B on magic shields respectively, while also hitting high damage, and the magic shields placed back on all the magic shields placed back on the field, to make it much easier for Haos Titan Nillious, the right side player, to hit the cores that he wants to be hitting. So our left side player chooses Darkus Nillious, and then plays down Dan Kuzo. This is a very, very powerful card that will just allow you to get a free card off the top of your deck every time you play, every time you open a Bakugan. However, he misses, does not open, so Dan will not be going off. And with Canada still not having reroll cards, he will not be able to make another attempt at that. Aurelus Halcor is hitting that large 12 damage, and the right side playing down the Colonel Armstrong trip, just in case, probably just in case as a safety measure, because this will allow him to keep his resources up, as long as he keeps winning battles, basically it'll allow him to draw an additional card every single time he makes an attack. In other words, every time he wins a battle. So this will allow him to get back resources that he spent winning those battles, so that he is continually able to have resources to win battles after battles after battles. The left side player at this point has no deck, so even if he opens now, he will be unable to activate Dan Kuza's effect, and Haos Nillious is coming in now. Both players missed, the left side player rolling his Aurelus Fangtor, which is the strongest Bakugan on his team. Haos Nillious stands all on its own, hitting the Flaming Fist, and it'll hit 15 damage, but that doesn't really matter. Yeah, with that game is closed. A pretty clean sweep for Haos Nillious. Okay, breaking the character. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I really want to practice doing more live commentary stuff. You might have noticed a couple times there. Since I am commentating over my own matches, it is a bit difficult to get myself out of my own internal thoughts of what I was actually thinking when the game was happening. Especially since in the editing process of adding the overlay, I've watched this game over quite a bit. But you know, hope you guys enjoyed. I might record the commentary part for these live commentary versions. I might record the commentary part before I do the overlay in the future, so that I haven't watched it over so much. I'll try doing that for the next one. But with that said, thanks for watching, guys. And this is Hunter Surge signing off. Be sure to check out the Haos Nillious deck profile. I posted that yesterday. So if you're interested in the deck I was using, go check that out.